Hello.
That reach though, like
I know. Okay, do you wanna start us off?
Hello. So today we're gonna be talking about something very special. It's our love story. So we have a pretty cool one, and I always get stoked to share it with people because
Really?
oh yeah, people ask about you. I'm like, well, I don't know if you knew this, but like, there's this little detail, and it's just kind of cool how it came about, and I really feel like God was just involved in the whole process, and so it's a fun story. So we're just gonna go through our own individual experiences meeting each other and just kind of how God led us and all that cool stuff. So yeah, babe, do you wanna? I don't even know, how do we get into this love story? How do we start?
Do you want me to start us off? Oh shoot. Yeah. So, whew. It's actually crazy because there's so many good things that come into my mind, and one of the first things that I wanted to say is that I think our story is actually like law of attraction in its finest. Like it actually shows how it works, and I'm excited to touch up on that as we unpack our story, because I also think it's really cool. Like for like until now, I'm just getting a lot of people just saying like, wow, you guys are such a good match, and you guys are both passionate about like similar things, and it's so easy to just be, partners in crime with a person who has like same purpose driven mindset, and it's really cool. So I'll actually ask you questions. You can ask me questions. So where did we meet?
Well, we met at a church planting event, actually. So my church was having they were expanding to 2 locations. And so we were going to go to my location, but your friend Raj asked us to go to the Surrey location, and
Sneaky
he
guy.
knew you were going to be there. He knew you were
Raj
going to be
did
there.
know,
He's like,
yeah.
you guys should definitely come to Surrey. And we're like, okay, because we thought Raj was awesome. So we're like, well, let's just show up and hang out. And
Raj is awesome.
Raj is awesome. So then we met at the church. Yeah. What was your experience meeting me, babe, that first day?
It was actually something wild because the very first moment I saw you, you had this like very distinctive look. I don't know why. I think I shared this with you before. The very first look you gave me was actually like I could see through a lot of the moments in our lives, like fast forward. I don't know how that happened. I don't know what kind of reaction was that. Like, it was very interesting interaction, very interesting moment. Just getting our eyes locked on each other.
Not lies.
Shoot.
No lies being locked.
Oh man. Our eyes locked with each other. And then I was thinking like that you were very pretty with the way you looked. Like there was just something in the way you looked at me. And I could tell that you were very intrigued by me, and you were instantly in love.
Okay,
I'm kidding.
Okay, the details are false. Actually, you shared with me that when I asked you when you knew you were in love with me, and what did you say?
Go more. Give me more details.
You were saying that you kind of almost like you saw love potential the first moment you saw me.
That's such a funny way to say it.
You said that.
Sure, I did. I actually did love potential. What like I?
It was basically like love.
Did I actually say
you
that
said
love
those
potential?
Words. You were
Okay,
like,
I love that. Love
you
potential.
You said love potential
that's
the
so
moment
cool.
that you met me.
I think it's so funny. Love potential. I don't think that's so funny because now it's like one of those moments that I don't even remember. But you bringing this up, I'm like, okay, that does make sense, and it does sound like something I would say.
So you were the one who fell in love.
But the funny thing about why I actually think it's important for us to share that our story is because what's more important is actually the combination of before and after. So before I was actually questioning God. I'm like, God, is it actually possible to find the girl that I really want? And the funny thing about it was that I've been through a relationship before. I've been through a lot of good friendships before. And like, honestly, like I've got to experience like traveling and making money and also like having a business and working for a company, So like just all the taste that I kind of got, I didn't really I didn't really understand what the relationship could potentially look like. And the idea that I had of relationship was never really tied into like people that I saw, because I think we had this conversation before, and with all the respect to people that I have in my life, I was looking for an example, see a couple and be like, yo, I want them to be my mentors. And it was very difficult because there were a lot of good couples that I respect and I love to pieces, but I felt like they were awesome in different areas. One couple was awesome in their purity walk towards the wedding. And then the other couple was like super awesome with their energy, and I'm like, and the other couple was like business minded. Yeah. And I thought I could never really find a couple that I could just like fully go and rely on. So I prayed and I felt like it was almost impossible to, the men that I had. And then one of the funniest things ever is that I remember spending time in a lockdown, during COVID, and just kind of like praying. Right. And I know that my parents have prayed for my wife the entire time, or like for, for a potential love potential, or like potential wife. Right. And then I remember praying too, and I just remember clearly God telling me, Vitaly, write a list of what you want to see in this person. And I felt so confused because I was like, what do you mean write a list? I heard it's never good to write a list. And then when I wrote a list, I actually wrote down a lot of cool stuff like curious, wise, good with finances, blah, blah, blah. And the list went on. And then God was like, I want you to become this list. So I wrote a list of a person who I wanted to be. And God was like, become this person. And I didn't realize that God was actually calling me towards law of attraction. In the Bible, like, you can actually unpack any story you want. You will see a principle, law of attraction. Right now, people are calling it law of attraction, but it was actually a God-made principle. There is a scripture that says, if you want to have a lot of friends, be friendly. Like, why does that? Because you will attract friends into your life. Friendly people will find a friendly person. Anyway, so now I want to ask you, tell me more about yourself before meeting me. Like, how did that come into reality, into fruition?
Well, it's really cool because very similarly, I was watching this YouTube video and this couple mentioned how they were looking for love and they just couldn't find it and they gave up. And they were like, you know what? But then it dawned on them that they should write a list about what they want in a person. And so both of them did this individually and then ended up finding each other, and they're actually a really cute couple on YouTube that I watch, Christian couple. And I was like, wow, this relationship's beautiful. I was like, I really love the relationship, love their dynamic. I'm like, that's so cool. So I sat down and I wrote a list of a very, very detailed list, like so detailed. And I wrote, I will not date until I meet a man who ... has all these qualities. And I was like, I'm not interested in dating until I see this in a person, because a lot of the qualities were very much character-based and things that were, about loving the Lord and about just who they are and being confident and being willing to like share about Jesus and being very like caring, and like there's so many cool ones that you fit the criteria, babe. But so it was cool. So then I just wrote the list and I left it. I wasn't searching. I was chilling. I was really actually enjoying being single for like a long time. I wasn't really thinking, I want, a relationship for a while. But then 2 weeks before I met you, I was like, okay, God, I want a relationship.
You were ready.
I was ready. I was like, I'm ready for a relationship. And so then I prayed. I was like, I want a boyfriend. And I wrote that in my journal too. I was like, I want a boyfriend.
That's crazy.
And I wrote it, like literally like 2 weeks before meeting you, around that timeline. And it was so cool because when I met you, I'd never seen the qualities that you have combined in a person before.
Wow, you've mentioned that before. Yeah, like you actually a couple of days before we were talking and you mentioned that, and it was kind of like mind-blowing. Because
a lot of the qualities that I put down are kind of like qualities that are almost like they're opposite but not. Like they seem like you couldn't have one without the other, but you just embody a lot of them so well. And so it was really cool because then when I met you, I was like, okay, and then I looked at my list and I was like, you are all these things.
The funny thing about it is actually our friends were people that were telling us like, you guys should meet. Yep. And we didn't even know that before we met, we just heard from a lot of our friends like, that we should actually, get to know each other.
Yeah.
And I remember my friends Nathan and Raj hanging out with you in Brooklyn,
Yeah.
your best friend. And then they came back home here actually, and they were like, yo, like you should meet this girl. I'm like, why? And they were like, her name is Charisma, this and this and this. And they were bringing up a lot of good points. But it's so funny. I think it's so cliche to say, and yet I'm gonna, emphasize that we were both in a very comfortable spot in our lives. Like we were not really like seeking it out. We're not like going out of our way to find it, which was really cool because that really represents the law of attraction. It's like you're not chasing it, you're attracting it. And it's so funny because if you look at a natural world, and people like my close friends know this, I love watching like Our Planet or Planet Earth or whatever the case is, like any movie with like, our planet and animals, like I love it. And what I noticed is that every time the animal is chasing something, it will be running away. It doesn't even matter what the intention is, right? Like even just like the lion cubs are playing together. If one is chasing another one, they're going to be running away. There's no threat, but if one is chasing the other one, it's going to be running away. So how law of attraction works is that instead of chasing, you actually attract it. And then I thought, what would be my own definition for that? Because I want this story to be a very welcoming and inviting story for people to start dreaming and asking Lord for the person that they want to be with, whether it's a lifelong partner or whether it's a business partner or whether it's like a person that they want to meet and just be friends. There isn't a limit to, who can we, build our future with when it comes to relying on God. Yeah, especially. So, and it's funny because I was thinking, how would I determine the law of attraction principle from my own experience? And it came into something like that. Law of attraction is not when you know what you want, but when you know, no, it's not when you, wow, I actually lost it. It was like, it was like, it's not when you know what you want, but it's when you know who you are. And a lot of people confuse it. They think if they know what they want, they'll just be asking for it. But it's actually you knowing who you are.
That's really good.
And when you know who you are, you just get to coexist with those people. And what happened to us, even though we met each other and we had that, inner lock in our looks, we still ended up going to the young adult party, right? Like afterwards. And then we were just kind of like, in separate parts of the room. And I just remember like naturally coming closer and closer together. And you were actually in one corner of the room. I was with another one. You were trying to get to me. I tried, but it wasn't like, chasing. I was just like genuinely.
You're curious, but you got stuck in a conversation.
Well, let me explain this way. Like I was just like genuinely spitted out of a lot of conversations or games because I was not attracted to that, circle or like the conversation. And it wasn't like, I definitely wanted to chat with you. That was definitely on my mind, but it wasn't just like, I'm going to try to go out of my way, cancel conversation right now here or whatever. It was just like naturally happening that, I couldn't keep up with certain conversations. But when we started talking, it was just like that, like questions, principles, ideas, and it was really cool. And I could definitely see a lot of wealth in your mind. And I was like, I remember driving back with Raj and be like, yo, I want to study this girl. Like, I don't know if we're going to be dating. I don't know if she would be interested in me, but I actually want to just like become friends and study this girl. And then what did we say today before the podcast? Like, you're like, why can't we be friends? And I was like, we tried, but then you fell in love with me.
Okay, that's no false. You keep putting it on me.
We didn't try. We didn't even try being friends.
No.
We knew it.
Well, you did pursue me in friendship first in a way. Like,
I did.
Not like it was clear that you were interested, but you wanted to create this basis of friendship, which is
very important.
It was so important. I love the way that you pursued me. It was very intentional. You wanted to get to know my mind. You wanted to get to know what I thought about things, my perspective, where I came from. And so there was a lot of like good boundaries around the way that you pursued me, and I really loved that. And I want to get into that in a second, but what you were saying before is so real about the law of attraction. Because one of the things is that when I was thinking about a potential partner, one of the biggest things for me was like, I don't want to expect something of someone that I wouldn't expect from myself.
Wow, that's
And
so
so
real.
I think a lot of times we're like, well, I want this. And
That's
it's like,
such a healthy perspective.
yeah, well, I was like, well, thank you. I was like, I mean, it was really from the Lord, because there were so many times where I was like, oh, I want this. But it's like, you know, if you want that from someone else, you got to want it for yourself as well, because ultimately that other person is going to also want those qualities in someone. It would be unrealistic to think, you know, I want this and these amazing qualities in a person, but that person doesn't, you know, have similar expectations. And so that's why I was kind of like, after I even wrote the list and whatnot, I was like, this is awesome, but I want to go and figure out how I can become these things and how I can work on that in my own life, because ultimately, like, we're constantly growing and working on things, you know. And even in that list, like, there's some qualities, I was thinking about it right now, and I'm like, I don't embody all of them, but I'm like, I want to continue to pursue those types of qualities together as a couple, rather than always expecting a person to be something that you're not, you know. So it's like, it's a beautiful thing, like you're saying, when you know who you are and you're confident in that, and you step into the place where you're like, wow, like, I'm in the place where the people that I want to hang out with, or the person that I want to be with, is going to come and find me and enjoy my presence, you know, naturally. So
Yeah, that's actually very real. And for people that are like tuning in, you know, to What If We Can podcast right now, and just kind of like thinking, you know, whether it's real or possible to find a person that they want to be with, the answer is yes. Absolutely possible. It's incredible what you can actually experience in a relationship. It was so wild, because what we've been through, I never expected. And we're not dating for a long time. It's not like we're gurus in a relationship, but it's so fun what we've been through together. And it's not always just like fun from a perspective of like having fun or having funny moments. Like we definitely had moments when we're like, okay, how are we managing this? How are we figuring this? How are we staying faithful to the Lord, you know, and through our perspectives, you know, putting aside desires or certain things, right, that we're navigating through. And it was actually very cool, because that's kind of what you want to see, you know, in a relationship. For me, like personally, like back and forth, which is another law of reciprocity. You can't be the only one person giving or the only person taken. So it's actually very interesting how I just want to encourage people that are listening right now that it is possible to find the person you want to be with by finding yourself. A lot of people go on dates and they're like, oh, what kind of movie do you like? Oh, what kind of music are you into? Without even knowing those small details about themselves. And they get confused. And they're like, oh, if you like this, I think I can like this too. But you can lie forever, you know. You must find yourself. You must go on dates with yourself. You must go and figure out, do you like hikes? Do you like going and watching movies? Or maybe you like staying in and playing games. Like you need to know from the smallest thing to the biggest. And I also really appreciate how you love Enneagram. And that's another thing that like I gain more and more appreciation, because I don't really like those kind of things like on my own, but you kind of like diving deeper into knowing our personalities and how we can coexist properly is actually really cool. And I love that about you. I think one other thing I'm going to say, and then I want to you know, jump back into picking your brain a little bit more about our story, but I want to remind us that there was a moment when we were FaceTiming and we were still kind of like friends, but I was asking you about certain qualities and the things that we wrote down that we wanted to see in a partner. Like we're like corresponding like that. It was actually sick. Like a lot of things that I put on my list, which was like curiosity, wise, like, you know, I wanted you to be wise. And I was like, okay, I need to try to be wise, you know, and ask Lord for the wisdom. It was actually very interesting, because then I could see how we actually align. And there was one time it was so cute. I was kind of like, I felt in the spirit that God was teaching me about finances and directing me towards like finances, you know, and I thought, okay, sick. And I remember coming back home after work and kind of sharing it with you, you know, just like that I'm pursuing like, you know, financial, you know, literacy and understanding of like how to be with finances and wealth, and not just, you know, regarding the money, but just kind of like how to manage wealth. And then you were like, oh yeah, you were like, I felt that like a while ago, and God gave me and I went through a book of Psalms, right? And like Proverbs and even better, I love Proverbs. And then you wrote down all the revelations that you had based on money and how much it actually talks about money.
All of the verses on
and
money.
And Bible was actually like so particular about money.
It talks about money.
More about money rather than salvation.
It actually talks about
and you,
money, more
you
money
shared
than
it with
salvation.
me. Yeah.
So it's like, it's actually a really important topic to God. That's a whole different conversation.
It's a different conversation that we're going to have podcasts on. We're going to have guests talking about wealth, talking about money. That's definitely something that Charisma and I are not shying away from pursuing. Like we do believe that there is, balance in trusting the Lord and pursuing business and wisdom. And God was actually the first businessman if you look into the Bible closely. But anyways, jumping back, I want to ask you a question, because our story is very complex, and the more people we meet, the more we can talk and expand our story, because there's a lot of cool details that unfortunately with the time frame that we have, we wouldn't be able to go back in. But I want for people to have certain nuggets because in a short period of time, it was cool to see how a lot of our friends were like, wow, this clicks, this works.
All of our friends
it was
were
a huge
like
confirmation.
Immediately like, my best friend Brooklyn had never ever came back and told me about a guy and thought I'd be interested, because I've been very upfront and clear with everyone in my life that I'm just like super know what I want, and like I'd rather be single.
Yeah, and that's so
honestly,
real.
I'm okay. Like
it's so real.
I love, being single is great. Like, having a relationship is a blessing. It's a blessing into my life. So I'm like, I'm not going to date unless I meet someone who I believe we're going to be on the same journey in life, and we're going to be blessed by each other.
Yeah.
So when Brooklyn came back, she was like, Charisma, like, you need to meet this guy. And I was kind of like, I don't really know, like, who is, you know what I mean? Like, who is he or whatever. But it was so cool because she immediately saw it in you, you know? And very similarly, your friends with me
absolutely
saw it.
Yeah.
And it's so cool because even to this day, when people look at you and they go to your Instagram and they see the things that you talk about, they're like, yep, one thing my friend Saji was like, Charisma, this is exactly the kind of guy I knew you'd be with.
That's so
like,
funny.
You are literally like the epitome of just like what, I don't even know, like I've elaborated on or described or whatever.
That's so funny.
And I think it's so important that in any relationship that your friends, your family can see it for you.
Yeah.
Because I've been in situations where that wasn't the case and it just didn't end well,
Yeah.
And I think it's super important to say, okay, like I want to trust the people in my life. And just that was a really big thing for me, seeing how people were around you and how they accepted you and how the people that I really valued were so supportive. And because you could even really love someone, or like your friends could be like, that person's awesome, but not see it for you. And I think it's something important to take account, especially, family and whatnot, because they know you.
Yeah.
And so that was just really cool for both of us to witness.
Yeah, it was a huge confirmation. It feels nice. It feels right when you're friends and people that know you really well, and including family. I was so like welcomed by your family.
Oh,
it
my
actually
family
swept me
loved
away.
you. My mom loves you.
Yeah, and it was amazing. I actually prayed for those things, guys. Like relationship with parents is very important to me. I find it very very surreal these days to find a person with like good relationship with their parents, and yet I believe that your relationship with your parents is one of the biggest tests in life, and it's crazy how difficult it could be, but it's so worth it. At the end of the day, it teaches you humility, love, compassion, understanding, so much more. Anyways, but for those people that and that works only for those people that are inspired by our content, what we are creating. Obviously, we're taking one step at a time. We're just dating, but we're just getting to know each other, and it's been so fun. We learn from each other. We learn with each other. We learn about each other, and it's so fun. And for those who are watching this right now or listening to it, what would you say wouldn't be possible for us to be where we are today on our short, like little sweet journey so far if we haven't done, and I want you to continue the sentence.
There's a lot of things that come to my mind.
First thing that comes to your mind.
Well, the first thing that came to my mind was communication.
Okay.
Because I feel like there's been such an importance.
I want to redirect you a little bit. What about for those that are watching this right now and they're like, perhaps like heartbroken, or think that a perfect or good relationship is not a possibility anymore, or they've been going through situations when it feels like this is it. I'm not going to find a person I really vibe with or I want to be with, or that shares my dreams or my sense of humor. Like, how would you inspire those that are looking for a perfect God-driven relationship? And you would say, you know, we wouldn't be here unless we, or if we didn't
Had faith.
have faith.
I think it's so real. Like, God asks us to believe, you know? And it's ask and you shall receive. There's so much. There's so
I
many
like
verses
that you're pointing it
about
out.
asking and believing and trusting that God has good things for you. And I think that
Wow.
for me, like, that was
You're
something.
digging gold right now.
Well,
I wasn't expecting
I
that.
just got my shovel out.
No, that's actually okay. Sorry.
Yeah,
Keep going.
it's
I love
huge
it.
because I think so many times, a lot of the times when I would talk to people, they would either settle for a relationship or just think love was not for them because they don't believe that God has it for them. But one of the things in this particular area, you know, I prayed when I was really young about it. I prayed every night when I was like a little girl. I was like, this is what my future, if I have a husband, this is like what I pray that he'll be like. And God, I trust that. I trust that I'm going to have an amazing man. So it was never like a worry, you know, because I'm like, if God can create anything, and he created every human being, and he created the earth, and he provides, like, why wouldn't he be able to create an amazing person for me to be with? And if he didn't create it for me, then it, you know, it wasn't for me. And I think that's also important. It's important to come to terms with that fact that if it didn't happen, like, it's okay. Like, you're still going to have a life full of love, but also believing that it is there for you. And I know it's a weird thing to combine, but it's like trusting that God has the absolute best for you. And so I'm like, I kind of just had to choose that belief. I had to choose to believe that. And I think, like, you're going to settle for like something that's not good for you if you don't believe that there's the best for you. But if you believe that there's the best for you, you're going to be like, no, thank you. Thank you so much. Very flattered, but I'm good.
Wow.
And I think there's also a level of belief in yourself as well.
Yeah.
Belief in God and belief that you're so lovable, you know?
You're worthy of love.
You're so worthy of love.
Yeah.
And God created you that way, and God loves you. And I think that those two things are important because it's so much of also showing up for yourself in that season of singleness, like when there isn't anyone around, to be able to be like, okay, like, I'm going to show up for myself and I love myself. Because even in a relationship, we were talking about this the other day, like, you gotta still show yourself that self-love, you know? And
you
so
have to.
I think, like, starting with that foundation is so important. And I still need to have faith for our relationship. You know, it doesn't stop the moment that we get in the relationship.
Charisma gives up so easily. It's like, I'm walking away tonight. This is it. I'm like, hey,
I'm
wait.
done.
Yeah. It was actually so funny. I'm exposing us right now. And, you know, for the sake of people that think that, like, sometimes, you know, it looks like everything is perfect. But I want to actually overthrow that ideology and idea, you know. The other day we were just like talking and then Charisma was like, I kind of feel off about us. And I was like, oh, shoot. I'm like, what do you mean? And then it threw me off. I'm like, what do you mean you feel off about us? But the funny thing about, like, if I feel off about something, I'm not continuing building or investing in it. But when you were sharing, it's like, oh, I'm kind of feeling off about it. I want to figure out what we can do better, right? Or like what we were doing wrong or whatever. And it was actually really cool, but just like such different minds and perspectives, right? I'm like, why are we even doing a podcast if you're feeling off about us?
Yeah, you said it. I was like, I'm feeling off, and you're like, well, why?
Yeah, I'm like, well, why are we
continue
doing this? Yeah, like, but you didn't mean like you felt off, like, or did you? I'm kidding. No, it was hilarious. It's hilarious.
Oh,
Anyways,
man.
I want to get back because you were
was funny.
digging gold. Like, you were actually saying that we wouldn't be here if it wasn't for faith. Believing.
Should we finish? We just finish what we just said, though, because we just said we felt
Oh
off.
yeah, no, we don't feel off about each other.
We talked about it, and that actually brought up really good communication.
A lot of good stuff
So,
that we're like working through, which is
exactly.
awesome. Everybody has to, so
It's life,
we're not an exception, but we still love each other. Like, even though
no, not really.
you know that one time what you did, I still love you through it. Sorry, not one time. You were right, 5 times, and then 5.5. Anyways. So Charisma is saying that we wouldn't be here and that wouldn't be possible without faith, which is, I think, such a wonderful foundation. I see faith like butter. it's like such an important ingredient in
it.
any dish. Like God is not asking you to have the ingredients. He's asking you to have faith. He's like, God is not asking you to have money. God is not asking you to have a perfect mindset. He's just have faith.
Yeah.
Like, it's so funny how it works. And if I would be asked, if you would ask me, we wouldn't be here without, I would say we wouldn't be here without letting go. The funny thing about it is I think it really finally clicked for me when I finally let go of the idea. And it's so crazy because letting go of what we had in mind is one of the most difficult things to actually say goodbye to. And I think it was a lot of things, that I was going through, that was in my mind. And I feel like I'm obviously we're people that believe in God and we're a faith-based people. So I think God is actually so okay with us struggling unless we let go. So then what we let go of, we don't put our trust in, and yet we are trusting in the Lord. And there was a moment in my life when I felt like relationship will be everything I ever needed. And God wanted me to let go of that idea.
Wow.
It's like, just let go, because it's going to be enormous amount of pressure on the person that you're with, because they're not going to make you always happy. And that's okay. It was never supposed to be the case. And I was like, okay. And then, letting go was actually one of the best things I could have potentially done in order to free up the space for you, right? And if you think about life, a lot of people think that life is about getting something or getting to the point that you want it. A lot of people think in life that you actually need to get more and get something, when life is literally about this game of like getting and letting go, and you're not going to get unless you're letting go. You think about your breath. I heard this analogy from one of my favorite preachers, T.D. Jakes, and he said that life is like breathing. If you're not letting go, you're not able to grasp your next, catch of air. And that's how important it is. Like, you let go and you breathe again. And that's how, if you would have hold on to your first breath, you would be dead by now.
You're gonna die.
So you need to let go, guys. Whatever you're looking for, whatever your dream is, if you're asking yourself, what if we can, or what if I can find, through God's grace, through God's like faith and direction in my life, if I can find this person, that would mean that you need to believe and let go. And that's so based on our experience. And we just love it. Like, because it's been such a fun journey. It's not been that long. And like, we've been dating since
almost
December.
6 months?
Yeah, it's almost 6 months,
Yeah.
But it's like, honestly, it's just kind of like, I was like, it's been such a like smooth ride in terms of the lessons and everything. It just makes sense. And God is always, in between, and it makes a lot of sense for what we were going through. And it's so fun. Like, I actually love it. I never thought that it could be that fun.
Aww.
Yeah. And even people that sometimes ask me, they're like, wait, how come you and Charisma are into the same things? Like, how come you guys are
That's
both?
That's actually so nice. That is a blessing.
Yeah.
Because I think like the most important things that you find somebody who has like similar morals and, similar perspective on life and loves the Lord and makes you better and all that stuff. Then on top of that, it's like we also want to build the same things. And what I think is really cool is when we talked about, we had this conversation kind of earlier on, actually, before we were dating a little bit. We talked about prophetic words we've gotten and the impact we want to make on the world.
And they were very similar.
And our vision, and they align so much.
Yeah.
And I think that's so cool, because it's like, if God has this relationship for us and has the same purposes for us, and it's like, that is so cool, because then we're together on this journey. Like, that's a God ordained thing. And I just love that, because even the thing about letting go, like, even when we were talking before we were dating, I was like, God, I give this to you. Even when we're dating, I'm like, God, I give this relationship to you, because I always want it to be, something that like God actually has for us. And whatever, you said this the other day, it's like, whatever is meant for you will come back to you. And I think it's so real that like God has some incredible things, for each and every one of you.
Absolutely.
And that could be the most amazing, fun, loving, awesome relationship.
Yeah.
And I think it's cool, just the journey that we've been on, because, you make me better. And you also...
Thank you, babe.
Don't take all that credit, okay? We get to make each other better, you know? It's a process of life. Like, I'm just kind of getting on this journey with you, and, you know, it's messy sometimes, but it's beautiful sometimes, and it's just like, it's awesome. You're like, it's never messy. It's always perfect.
It gets really messy. Shoot.
But I think it's so cool. And if you guys, like, you know, if you're looking for that special human, I really think that, you know, there's a few things you can do. You can write down and be like, hey, this is what I want. And one thing God told me, he asked me, he's like, Charisma, get specific with me.
I love that.
Because when you're specific, then...
So you're like, I want Vitaly.
I didn't know your name.
Do you want to read the definition on the mug that you gave?
Yeah, I want to read the definition of my mug, but really quickly, when you get specific, it's going to be clear that it was God, okay?
I'm sorry. I feel like that was such a good moment that I was just like, read the mug because the mug is about my name. And like, you don't have to. I was just joking.
I actually thought about reading it.
Okay.
I'm gonna
that's
end the
funny.
podcast with this.
Guys, if you're listening to it on Spotify or like Apple Music or whatever the stream platform, you can go and watch it on YouTube.
Yeah, and see us.
And actually see the mug that Charisma gave me for Christmas. And what's the definition? And it's not that I wrote it down, okay? Like, that's actually online.
This was the Urban Dictionary definition of his name.
Yeah.
I got this before we were dating. It's so funny.
Yeah.
But, okay, anyways.
So what does Vitaly mean?
Did I finish my sentence about...
I don't
about what
know.
I was saying?
Yeah, you did.
Anyways, okay. I feel like I didn't finish it.
What was it about?
I just want to say that sometimes you feel like you're asking for too much. But
no, I think you finished it.
Don't feel like you're asking for too much because God likes when we get specific because it shows how He can show up and it shows His glory. It couldn't have been anyone but God in that case. Anyways.
Let's get to another important point.
Okay, now the most important point of the whole podcast. So this is the definition of Vitaly's name. Words cannot begin to define Vitaly. Vitaly is the sexiest, bravest, smartest, strongest, and all-around most awesome. We have an alarm going off. Vitaly is derived from the Russian language. Vitaly is possibly the most perfect human. Vitaly has an ability to consume extreme amounts of food. That is... Oh, we lost him.
No, you keep going.
That is not explained by science. Vitaly is adored by all women secretly and is the meaning of success. Vitaly also has the ability to make all other humans look inferior because he is a professional in everything and can do anything.
Wow. I mean, could not be described more accurately than this.
Yeah, so accurate. I saw this and was like, well, that's it. You know what's funny is like these are things that I couldn't say to you yet.
I mean, technically you can't really say, yeah, but the mug does it.
So the mug did. So it was like a little like, hey, I agree with this definition.
Because we were not dating yet.
We weren't dating.
At this moment, it was January. No, it was actually December
25th was Christmas.
And we started dating on New Year's Eve. That was
really cute how you asked me.
Mm-hmm.
But anyways, so
it's funny that our story became more of a principle, which is awesome because then people can actually, you know, look at and dream, you know, and ask themselves if, you know, if they think it's possible. And then I also really liked what you said about like knowing what you want, but also knowing who you are and also trusting God, having faith, but also letting go of the idea. It's such an interesting balance. It's like it's almost like a paradox.
And the cool part about it with these things is like when you find that there's kind of opposites and things that are like, oh, how do I balance all of that? God is the one who gives you the ability to do that. And so like, I don't know if you guys are faith-based or not, but we are. And like, you know, for me, I think it's so much easier and plant-based. Well, anyway, it's so much easier to let go when you have, you know, the Holy Spirit guiding you and you have God giving you the strength to do that. And so like some of those things, it's like, if you feel like, oh my gosh, it's overwhelming, how am I going to do all that? God's got you and also helps you in that as well. But yeah, guys, don't be afraid to write down a list of what you want in a person. Get specific and pray and trust that God has it for you.
Yeah.
And look at that list and say, okay, well, do I embody these qualities? Can I work towards that? Can I be intentional about that and take a season, you know, to just pursue those things and a season of singleness where you can love yourself and hype yourself up and because you're gonna still need to do that even when you're in relationships. So yeah.
I do to myself all the time.
Actually, he does.
Charisma
He's
knows
always hyping himself
like
up.
you
It's
love
hilarious.
me. I'm like I'm
You do.
amazing. I'm
It's
handsome.
so funny.
I'm you know, I have to say those things to myself. It's an affirmation, but also speaking into existence, you know, like I'm awesome. I'm funny, you know, like people get so cringy when they listen like to, you know, someone hyping themselves up, but like it's so important. Like you need to love yourself.
You do.
And I do it all the time. I love myself.
Well,
like
love others as you love yourself. So
how can you love others if you don't love yourself? And a lot of people say, you know, it's contradictory, but we can't really get into this right now because
it would be a long time in the podcast.
but we
timer
love you
went
guys.
off.
Like we love you so much.
Because we love ourselves.
I don't know how this theology works or whatever, but
Oh, man. Anyways.
but we do really love you guys, and we really hope that you have a lot of fun with us. You know, whether it's a podcast, whether it's our Instagram. Go check us out on YouTube as well if you're watching, or if you're listening to this on Spotify. But if you're on YouTube, come, you know, rate our show on
Yeah, give us a
on
little
Spotify.
comment.
Yeah,
Rate
like,
on
let us
Spotify.
know.
Also, ask us if there's topics you guys want to know about because we're curious.
Yeah.
We want to bring people on. We want to talk about what you
Yeah,
guys
we're
are
gonna be
interested
talking
in.
about so many different things, and we're excited to have guests on, and it's gonna be awesome.
So,
Yeah,
Get in
we
the
love you
comments.
guys. Have an amazing time. You know, have an amazing rest of your week, and we just hope that whatever you're doing, God will be with you and guiding you and leading you. And we're praying the same for ourselves.
yeah, for real. All right, well, we'll see you guys next week.
Awesome.
Bye.
Bye bye.
Boom.
Check.
Hey,
Boom. We're bringing
like
the
a
noise.
foot high five.
Okay, baby.
Okay.
No more foot high fives.